Welcome to Merkaba Chakras, where we talk Buddhism in the fifth dimension. Welcome to another podcast episode of Merkaba Chakras. I'm your host, Galt, and today we go into the origin of souls, or in Buddhism, we would call it the spiritual emptiness of God's consciousness itself. And my guest today is Slovakian radio broadcaster Jozef Simkovic, who is the author of Toward the Ultimate Source, Planning for the Afterlife, and How to Kiss the Universe. So with that, Jozef, welcome to Merkaba Chakras.
Oh, welcome, Juan. I like that upbeat attitude and joyful approach. If everybody would be like that, maybe this planet would be a better place.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Thank you for inviting me. I was genuinely surprised, and congratulations to your podcast, YouTube, your books, and also artistry, which is just incredible for me. Can you tell me, how did you find me? Can I ask you this question?
Yes, of course. I found you through your books.
Oh, okay.
So I here at Merkaba Chakras, I mean, I'm an author myself, and I've done many podcasts, book interviews, and I wanted to provide a platform to interview all of my favorite metaphysical book authors, ones that maybe people aren't so familiar with, that have really great content, and introduce them to a whole nother world of these genres. And I came across your books and I really enjoyed the material, and I said, oh, I want to see if I could interview Jozef. So before we dig into your wonderful books and what you offer, can you please tell us your story for how you even got into this? Because it's not normal.
Okay. First, I would react a little bit to your introduction. I am actually American journalist in Slovak language. Voice of America is United States government-supported agency who broadcast in many different languages, and one of them is Laos. I was working as a journalist for about 12 and a half years, and then another 12 years I was working as broadcasting engineer. That is my original education. And I work with Lao people, and I like they are very laid back and cool people. I really like that. And then also one of my favorite movies is Gran Torino, about people. And by just synchronicity, not just coincidence, yesterday New York Times had a full page about Lao cuisine, about specifically Hmong cuisine, about chefs and food and everything. So I think we have a lot of common. We both came from countries with restricted regimes, with repressive regimes, and we build up our lives here with our own dedication, and that's what I have feeling that is really tying us together. I have to tell the secret that I am on podcast first time ever, and this is just really big thing for me, and hope this is gonna be some kind of breakthrough about publicity of the book. And if it's gonna be even disaster, I will remember it forever. It's gonna be really deep in my heart. So
well, thank you, Jozef, for having your first podcast book interview be with Merkaba Chakras. So you started. So you came from.
I will continue now with your question. I was born and grew up in Slovakia village, in Western Slovakia, and I was growing up as a poor boy, and I always thought there is something more for me somewhere, right? I'm not gonna stay here with this poor people. And I went luckily through high school and college, and have had my quite good job. But I would say, I could not breathe there, so I decided to emigrate. And not just that, I was listening to the Voice of America, and I told myself, hey, I'm going to leave from here. I'm gonna take my family and I'm gonna work in that radio. So in that sense, it was for me just when I did that, it was my life dream, and I thought it was my life dream. That's what I was supposed to do. Come to the United States and talk about freedom and American values and about everything back to my former motherland. And this is just past now. I don't want to go deep in how it happened, how we left, and all of that. But then what happened? I had questions like everybody has: so who we are, what are we doing here, where we came from, are we here only for once, or are we coming here more time? What's going to happen after we die, and all of that. And I was trying to find answers for these questions through science fiction literature, because that was the only one who in our country, our former country, Slovakia or Czechoslovakia, kind of escaped censors. You had to read between the lines, and then you really realized that there is something more out there than just what just official government was telling you. So I escaped on a second try. First time we tried to leave in 1984 through Yugoslavia. At the time, still Yugoslavia did exist. And then in 1986, we went through again through Yugoslavia to Austria and got here. And I was making my living 4 years in New York as an electrician, because my education, my original education is I am a radio electronic engineer with equivalent of master's degree. And I also studied programming in postgraduate in Prague, in Czech Republic. And I was 4 years in New York, but my dream was work for the Voice of America. So I applied, I did examination, and it just now it just passed. And then when I had a colleague with whom I did a lot of spiritual talk, and we were teasing each other. And so he told me about Monroe Institute, and also about out-of-body researcher William Buhlman. I don't know if you are familiar with him, but that's also a big guy in this kind of business. And took me about 2 years to get to the Monroe Institute. And most of my experiences are through meditations, either in programs at Monroe Institute or through following meditations home, in privacy of my home, and also in places when I traveled. I always took equipment with me, and I was meditating in many different countries. Totally, I was at 18 programs there. And those programs are like full week. Full week, you go from morning when you wake up after breakfast up to when you go to bed. There may be something in between. And that's where I also met my wife, who was here a while ago, and she was already like more experienced with the spirituality. She was in a variety of other programs, New Age or however you call them. So I met her there, and that was very interesting how we met, because it was divine intervention. I was supposed to go in a program in February, and suddenly there was a big snow, and they canceled this program. And then they moved the same program on July, and I went to the July, and there she was. So that was very, very, very interesting.
Okay,
Are
so I
you?
have a quick question. I have a quick question about
Oh,
your
absolutely,
transition.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're going to cover quite a bit of content and lead people into the content of your books, and of course
Oh yeah, yeah,
they're going
yeah,
to go to the
yeah.
description, and they're going to go and get the books from
Absolutely.
the show descriptions. But the question I have for you is I find this recurring theme that in some of my book authors that I interview about the various metaphysical topics that they discuss about
Yeah.
consciousness and our direct connection to consciousness of what you would call the Lord or God or whatever you want to call that consciousness, what I find is the common theme in terms of the background is there's a lot of political asylums or political refugees that come into the United States, like myself, like yourself,
Hmm.
acclimate, build our lives here, and then at some point in our life, we end up either writing books or doing speaking engagements or some kind of communication vessel where we speak about consciousness and
Yes.
kind of blow the whole box of religion out the window and just blow it up like it's part of everything and everything is it. So and I find that a recurring theme that continues to go on. So I'm not really sure if it is consciousness itself that's bringing all these different people into the same area to have these discussions about spirituality and metaphysics and kind of like bring that from the United States into the rest of the world, because a lot of the communication, especially with the internet, comes from the United States.
Well, definitely it is, because after all, we are all interconnected, right? Consciousness is one. There is a chapter in my book about one and many, how consciousness is one. Consciousness creates everything. Man, name does not matter. God, source, because what I found, sometimes people at new age functions, whatever they are, they have problem to call it God. When they hear God, they want to run away. And the other way, if you would talk to religious people, they don't like word source. Source, what is source? That is a God, right?
Or
They say,
universe. Universe. They don't like that.
yeah, 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 yeah. They
Universe
like
too.
they like to say, "Oh, universe did this for me. Universe is there. Universe,
Uh-huh.
universe, right?"
Yeah.
So I think the other reason might be that there is especially over here in South in United States, the fundamentalist religions have big power, right?
Mm.
People don't want to hear anything else. If you my experience is, when I try to speak with them, they would say, "Oh, I don't want to talk that. That's either devilish, right? Or I don't want to hear that." Just they don't even tell you why, right? And then there is the other side. This reflects division in our society right now. What's going on, right? We are losing eligibility to talk to one to another in civilized, loving way, right? So I think that's why refugees are maybe inclined a little more to go into these topics.
Yeah, that's a very good
So.
point. I can definitely see and understand that logic that when it comes to political refugees reassimilating and then just kind of getting
Mm-hmm.
into their life, that they they have less of a barrier to touch the taboo topics about
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
consciousness being
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
us being
Yeah.
versions of God,
Yeah.
one of many versions of God,
Yeah.
all is one, experiencing as all. So these are kind of taboo topics that for some traditions they see it as blasphemy to
Yeah.
equate yourself
Yeah.
to an
Yeah.
aspect of God consciousness embodied in a human being. So so these topics can be tabooed, and so for a lot of these book authors that I've come across that have um these like refugee political asylum, some kind of political upheaval and background that brought them to
Yeah.
where they are
Oh
in their
yeah.
life,
Yeah.
they just go for it because they got nothing to lose. They're like, well, I've already been there, might as well
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
open the taboo
Yeah.
topics. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
The,
understand it. Let's talk about some of these taboo
that
topics.
it's I would just add to it that often it's fear, because we are conditioned, almost everybody on the planet is conditioned in particular way, right? We are in boxes literally, and then boxes don't want to talk. And that's what I did at the beginning of my spiritual journey. I decided I'm not gonna listen to anybody. I'm just gonna figure it out on my own. I'm gonna listen religions, even science. You know, when scientists would start to talk spirituality, they are risking losing their jobs, for God's sake, right? Why is that? It's generally known they will not touch the topic. So it's fear, and I think that's what you were about to talk about.
Well, let's talk about these fears. So what are the common, in your work that's in both of your books, what are the common fears that people have about life? Let's start with life. They have certain fears in life. What are the common ones you found?
I think that the people are fearing almost everything. You know, if you are mother, you definitely have some fear about your child, that something's gonna happen to him or her. I think you have son, right? About your son, and it's results of conditioning, as I said. Can be anything. Can be a fear of not having enough money, can be fear of lose the good health, can be fear of losing friendship, can be even nobody loves me, right? That's also in some sense fear. And but the strongest of those is fear of death. Fear of death. What's gonna
what is it about death that they fear so much? What is it that, what's the unknown about death that they fear?
Well, that's not easy to answer why everybody is fearing of that, but if you think about it, people say sometimes that when they die, the God, Jesus, will serve for them everything. I have a longest chapter in a book is about my previous lady, and she was always telling me, I don't want to talk your spirituality. I don't want to hear that. And she even sometimes cursed me, said the expletive, whatever. I don't want that. I don't want that. Just none of my friends talk about it, right? But when she got mortally ill, she had cancer and she knew she was dying, she was completely overtaken by fear. When I was visiting her, she was, do you think I can make it? And even her son, her wonderful son, who was loving her deeply, he said, Mama, you are dying. Please think about that. Prepare for that. It's going to come. And so people don't want to talk that. I had a dear friend. I mentioned him in my second book, and he never went to funeral. He said, I cannot go to funeral. If I go to funeral, I'm always depressed, right? Instead of we should celebrating life. Often we are scared. I had this little weird wish long time ago. I said, I would like to enjoy my dying, because what is this life? This life is school. We came here into school, and when we dying, that's graduation. We go to another place. We go to, and many people believe in we go in a wonderful place. And when you would ask them, okay, do you have any imagination, or what do you think is there? I had a Muslim friend in Voice of America, and I said, can you tell me what is it in heaven and what you're gonna do there? Oh, Jozef, you cannot even imagine that. It's so wonderful, so fantastic. Nobody knows. Nobody. It was not enough for me. It was not enough for me. I wanted to know, can I go there? And many times people just don't know how to answer simple questions like, do you believe in life after that or not? I'm not going to talk about it. Do you have soul? Yes, yes. So when you have soul, where is that soul? Is that soul in your body? Is only part of that soul in your body? What's gonna happen when you die? When the soul dies, they just lost. They have no slightest idea how to prepare for this, for me, wonderful moment when I'm going to another place. I love my life. I'm happy. I lived very happy life. I have wonderful lady, my wife, and doesn't mean I'm enjoying every moment of it. But I'm not gonna cry. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. So it's it's natural, and because we are more than other creatures in the nature, we are aware that it's gonna happen. That's
You
what's
think that's a
happening.
different that's like the you think that's a difference between animals who just live every day one
Yeah,
day at a
yeah,
time, and then just one
yeah,
day they just die,
yeah,
and it just happens as an experience that happens. But then because
yeah,
humans have the ability to think ahead and have more
yeah,
cognitive
yeah,
ability, that they are
yeah,
able to process more information and
yeah.
also use that information to kind of self torment themselves about the unknown death that's eventually going to be coming around. So I completely get this idea of of the fear of death, but is it enough for many people, from your experience and your research, to spend their whole life being devotional in whatever religious or spiritual tradition they're in? Isn't that enough preparation to get over the fear of death?
I'm not sure. I mostly I don't believe that. I believe they just are doing. They are complacent with what the religious leaders tell them, and then they are happy. As I always say, especially when they are contributed to the well-being of their church, right? Like George Carlin used to say, "Oh, God, he never has enough money." Right? We have to. So no, I don't think they they are what I would say, they are prepared to go, maybe, but they are
Mm-hmm.
not prepared what is after, because there are so many options in afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
It's we are what are we? We are just our planet is just little dust in the whole universe, and not only that,
Mm-hmm.
they the whole universe is a little piece of dust in a vastness of everything,
Mm-hmm.
in comparing to power of source or God, where we came from the source, right? We are part, we are extension of that infinite consciousness. So we are like a pieces of octopus arms, giant octopus, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you
Well,
can imagine it like that.
you're right, and I completely agree with you. And coming from the Buddhist perspective of metaphysics and consciousness, in that we are very small in the grand scheme of things, but just like everything, like if you're losing hair, like I'm kind of losing some hair a little bit. Every single hair
Uh,
is precious to
yeah.
me.
Yeah, oh
every
yeah, oh
and
yeah,
I
yeah, 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 yeah.
and my heart is sad every time I lose hair in the shower. So
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
I think source consciousness, God consciousness feels every single soul that um graduates up
Yeah,
in
yeah,
consciousness, and ones that stay stagnant, or ones that never really maybe kind of fall down in their consciousness. I think it feels that very directly, very impactful. It feels every single one of us's journey, as if it is the only journey. And so when we think about it in that way, um, we we can see how every single one of our lives is so precious. But why do I mean? And this goes into the fear of death. If you fear death so much, even if you spent most of your life devotional to whatever spiritual tradition to help you prepare for that death, why do they fear really going for a wonderful life, like really putting the effort and energy and focus and attention and really trying to achieve their dreams or achieve their desires in their life, if at the very end you're
Yeah,
living towards this big death experience, why not spend the life that you have up until the death to make
see,
it your best experience? Why don't people do that? Why do they so afraid
well,
to
because
do that?
because maybe in Buddhism is it a little bit better, because every religion deals differently with death and dying, right? In Buddhism you have reincarnation, Hinduism as a normal thing. Christianity took it out. Jesus was talking about
Mhm.
reincarnation. Nicaea Council took it out. Hey, and also our Western civilization here in United States and Europe is not different. We are more almost entirely about material things. Get more money, get more gadgets, get more clothes, right?
Mhm.
And many people think that I. It seemed to me like they think that they're gonna be here forever, right? Even even when they are old, when most people already are dying, they still think they can be here. They are stories of famous people who were screaming, "Hey, I give you all money, everybody, for one more year life," right?
Mm.
So it's probably a lot of that is uh, a lot of that is from that conditioning, and
Conditioning.
that's why Christianity took it out. Oh, this is only one. This is only life you have, and you better behave, right? You better behave, and
Yeah.
we will tell you how to behave. You have to do what we say. So.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I completely get that. That whether it's certain religions or certain cultures have conditioning as well. Like certain cultures have behavioral conditioning, that on what women's supposed to be like, what men's supposed to be like, what you're supposed to achieve. But this is
Mhm.
supposed to, these specific things that you do in life is going to make you happy. If you don't do these, it's not going to make you happy. We all know those lists, that keeping up with the your neighbors or whatnot. So we all know those are not true, because when people achieve them, they're still unhappy. And the unhappiness in life, whether you achieve great feats as, I don't know, like a business tycoon, or you just are a wonderful mom or a wonderful dad, or whatever scale of experience that you create in your life, each and every single one is equal, because it's just different. I don't know if you would call it uh excursions, but they're just different
Mhm.
excursions.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they provide their own, their equal happiness and their equal satisfaction. So you know this is one of the things that comes up over and over and over again with many of my book authors that I speak to on these topics, and how they came to this conversation with God, with source, with the universe. And oftentimes the question always comes right back around. Okay, now
Mhm.
you know the full picture, and you came into this life experience. What do you want to do with it? Now that you know that this is a gift, what do you want to do with it? And oftentimes, many of the people go, I
Oh
don't
no, 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 no,
know.
not that's not no, no, that's not for me. I know what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, and I am a shy person. When I was in a school, to speak in the front of the class was just terrifying proposition for me. I am shy person, but I understand when I want to people know more about the books and get really empowerment from that, because the only way how to deal with this is go inside, you empower yourself, understand that you are unlimited being, you are immortal, your soul cannot die because it's one with the source, with the God. It's connected. Cannot die. What can die is only your physical body, which is I call I like word vehicle. We are in a vehicles. So what's gonna happen when your vehicle stop working? You go away, and you maybe, if you want to, you look for another vehicle. Maybe you have enough. You don't need another vehicle. I want to come back. I want to go a little bit back to your introduction. You were talking about emptiness of the God. That's how Buddhism sees it. In my
eternal bliss.
Yeah, eternal bliss, or can be stillness. They were telling me it's a stillness, but I came to the conclusion it's more of a highest vibration possible, because everything vibrates, and when we spiritually travel, we raise our vibrations. And what is brand new, I have several brand new things from philosophical point of view. Like one of them is that consciousness is not energy. Consciousness is something completely different. Energy and matter are the same, and consciousness is using these vehicles for travel. So when I travel, according to I am not even talking about believing anymore. I'm talking about knowing. So I brought knowledge for myself, and if somebody says, okay, that's you, fine, that's most important for me, but I am trying to inspire you to do the same thing. Figure out for yourself. Robert Monroe, who founded Monroe Institute, he always was saying, oh, you have to go to figure it out for yourself. Nobody can tell you that. So the problem also in society and with people is that everybody is listening others, what to do, what to believe. You have to go inside. You have to go into your soul. Everything is in there. For me, it has even funny connotation, because in Monroe way of developing spirituality, there is concept of internal self-helper. They call it ish. And you in a process, like I first found my guy with whom I had often even arguing, because I did not understand him, he did not understand me, and then I had several guys, and then several entities whom I call star friends. But there is also this internal self-helper. It's ish. It's called ish. It's your inside, your core, and I opted for female. It was her name was Kamalaska, which means little more than a friend, but little less than lover, somewhere in between. That's what I felt like, what I need. And in one of my spiritual experiences, I ended up marrying her, marrying my internal self-helper. And it happened when I was in Hawaii. I looked for the big statue of Lord Ganesha, and because of that, it happened that Ganesha was holding us in his hands, and so how deep that understanding of my internal need. Understand first myself, and then I can try to tell people. But our judgmental abilities are unbelievable. We always know what others should do, but not what we should do. So that's the problem.
For many people. I would definitely agree that the more that you focus on your own choices and your own life and your own experiences, and make the best decision based on what you
Mm-hmm.
know for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. That's the
Yeah,
best way
yeah,
to navigate this vehicle
yeah,
and
yeah.
live the most optimal life, so that when you reach that that day of death, that day of Passover into your next experience,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can look back and go, "Oh yeah, I had a really good journey, and I don't really have any regrets." Let me ask you something really quick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who are these star friends? Define star friends.
Uh, Star friends are, say the Monroe Institute system has, Robert Monroe developed these vibrational levels, and he calls them focus levels. You know, they are like focus 10, 12, whatever, all the way up. And uh, uh, I found out at the end of the second book, I found out focus levels which are not even described anywhere in their courses, their literature. So these star friends are beyond what he calls Earth life system. Earth life system is composed of, like, people often talk about lower astral plane, and then they are that's where souls go when they are kind of disoriented, and psychics will tell you that people who didn't cross over yet, they are stuck around here, they are kind of vegetative stay there. And then higher above that are belief system territories. Those are areas of consciousness where people affiliated with particular beliefs are, like, you know, when like this lady I was mentioned, she always was telling me, "Oh, Jesus will show me the way when I die," right? uh, where people with they are as many heavens in these territories as beliefs, because people, there is law of attraction, people go there where they had friends, when they had the best experiences from over here. Then above that is another level where people who want to prepare for conscious reincarnation, not just wild. They wanna, they can have particular plan what they're gonna do, but they are still earthbound. And all of this is we call earth life system. And beyond
Mhm.
earth life system, then they are spiritual beings on higher and very high vibrations. Those many of them, they just come to look. You know, they are not getting too close, because when they got too close, they incarnate, and then they have their life troubles, and also some pleasures, right? But they can get stuck. And
Okay, so
so
let me
so
ask you.
so 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 those stars friends are beyond the Earth life system. They are outside
Okay,
outside of Earth. Yeah.
okay. So in let me get this straight. So star friends is what you call um spiritual beings that almost to the level of archangels and above, right?
Yes. Yes.
What we
Yes.
call what humans would
Yeah.
call
Yeah. Yeah.
angels
Exactly.
and archangels
Exactly.
and above. Okay,
Exactly. Exactly.
because the understanding, and they have this in all traditions and spiritual traditions, of these very high frequency entities. They're not
Yeah.
negative, very, very high
Yeah.
positive
Yeah. Yeah.
entities
Yeah. Yeah.
that are beyond the physical realm of incarnation or
Exactly.
reincarnation. So, but they are just
Uh,
as curious about the lower levels, if you want to. It's all the same existence,
yeah.
but they
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah.
curious
Yes. Yes.
about
Yes.
these
Yes.
physical
Yes.
levels just as much
Yeah.
as we are curious about what goes
Uh,
on for them.
I would say
Why don't they want to come down here to these levels?
some of them, like one of them, he incarnated, and he was always based his advices and our conversations. He liked to remind me often, "Oh, he told you, somebody else told you that, but I was incarnated, I know what it is," right?
Mhm.
And I would just kind of clarify that Earth life system is not just physical, it's also souls which are still earthbound. They want to come back. They want to come back. And these angels, we can talk about angels, that because that's what they are on different levels. They operate between earth life system and source, right? Some of them are very close to God, and the other thing is that we don't understand that communication can be telepathic, right? Can be even non-verbal, in even a non-form. Then, in very high level, close to the source, there is no form. There is no form. They don't need bodies to having any form. There is just sometimes just like a humming. And the last one of the last chapters in the second book talks about Elohim field, Elohim waves. Communication is like just like waves, but you exactly know what it is. So what I would like to say is about how we bring information back from different levels, because according to my knowledge, my knowing, our universe has 13 dimensions. I don't count time as a dimension. You probably in Buddhism you consider time to be dimension, right?
Dimensions are just different experiences, and just separated by
Okay.
frequencies. Separated by frequencies. So
okay. But in my understanding, these dimensions are those who are talking about dimensions above the earth-like system toward the source. First, they are dimensions which are still form-based. So spiritual beings like to still have a forms. They look on the lowest level. They look like almost like Earth. In belief system territories, it looks the same like on the Earth, because that's what they created. Once we shed our physical bodies, we can create it anything we want. So first are non-form, then the other way from the top, there is no form, and then they are transitional. When spiritual beings like to experiment with different shapes, kind of like a hobby, to be there to create whatever you want.
Yeah. The thing with these star friends, or these angels / archangels and above consciousness, above the pre-life plan realm of the spirit world, and all that again is still part of samsara in Buddhism. It's still part of the experience that is beyond. The thing I find interesting is I haven't really heard of very many archangels that have chosen to incarnate as a physical being and experience the human experience. Elohim or Metatron is one, and then I think there might be another one that I have heard of, but otherwise they don't want to come, because it's like this. It's like being like a mega trillionaire with everything's great and wonderful, and you have all these abilities, and I mean, it's just you're in the highest experience, and then you lose it all, and you have 10 cents, and now you're going to try to form to how to live your life. It's kind of a shocker. It's a spiritual shocker to them, and when they do that, the instances where I have read in any kind of spiritual literature about an archangel incarnating as a human being is they get a reality check really quickly, and they understand why we struggle so hard to make the best out of our life, because we have such limited experiences, and it's like we have to really do the labor in order to benefit from the fruits of our labor. Yes, we have synchronicity. Yes, we have the spirit world to help us, and we have all these abilities, but there's still a lot of actual muscle that we have to do ourselves to create things, whereas they're not used to that. And so it's like a crash course of kind of the hard knocks for an archangel to become a human. And so when they go back, they go back with a completely different understanding to tell
Oh
everybody
yeah. Oh
in
yeah.
that
Oh
realm
yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
don't knock the humans. It's actually much harder than what we give them credit for. It's and coming from somebody who came from the higher realms into the lower realms of existence to find out
Hmm.
what this is all about, or maybe help, maybe do a service and kind of help this realm a little bit with their level of consciousness, and then they go back and it's like, no, you guys need to be more understanding and about these people, because it is extremely hard challenge. I think it's a master class for archangels to come down to this level and experience physicality, and
But
that's why they don't do it.
they don't need to do it many times.
Just once is good enough.
I don't wanna I don't I don't wanna say who was mine spiritual teacher, because I just don't wanna get everything which is in a book. But he was incarnated, and he was on that level. You talking. I know you are communicating with Metatron, Kuan Yin, and Joshua, right?
Yeshua, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Joshua is just another name for Jesus. Jesus is
yes,
they sometimes they call him in spiritual realm. They call him often that, and so they. But very interesting thing was there is one spiritual level in all of those focuses. Focus number represents basically higher vibration, right? And we had one of the exercises. There was a focus level 33, 34, and nobody know what it was. And I figured it out with communications with beings whom I communicated, that's exactly the level when they it's on a critical level. It's earthbound and beyond that life system. And
Oh,
when they
past 33.
yeah,
You
past
say
34.
$34. Okay.
If they would stay, if they stay in 34, they are generally safe. But when they got in a 33, when they lower their vibrations enough, then they can be lured, right? Lured, earthbound, and then they end up incarnating. And
So
it's
cross over to 30, the realm of 34 and above, then you go into the spirit realms. Okay.
I'm just fascinating that you're telling me very, very, very similar things. Just that doesn't matter what tool we use. What tools we use, we often end up on the same ship, in the same situation, same position.
Well, how can archangels in those high levels of consciousness and frequency, not wanting to get too close to the physical realm, or because they don't want to be reincarnated, how can they help us to raise our consciousness? Have you had those conversations with them?
They are teachers. It's in I'm contemplating in both books. The beginning of that is in How to Kiss the Universe, and a lot more is about in Toward the Ultimate Source. Also, Return to Source, right? And so I kind of sneaked in a source several times, right? But you have to quickly go back, because if you don't, you disappeared. You unify with God whether you want it or not. So because you appear there, you already grew up. You educated yourself enough, so you can be there, and you can kind of sniff around. And I call it ultimate membrane. Ultimate membrane is which divides source from everything else. You can see it. And then or skin of God, ultimate membrane or skin of God. And the process of creation is executed from the source by process which I call bubbling.
Okay.
And bubbles, and when you are there, it's a perception. You kind of you might see, you might not see it, but you know what's going on there. And these bubbles are bubbles of universes. You have they come in now, they disappear because there is no time there, right? So you just see them come and go. And And
real quick, Jozef.
Yeah.
So I want to make a distinction here because I know in many spiritual traditions, when you understand sacred geometry and how things are created, everything forms in bubbles. Like an aura field forms in bubbles, our consciousness is in bubbles. Everything, like all the matter in the universe eventually comes in together and forms like dust particles. They come together and eventually form a bubble, and then they just kind of move around. So everything eventually forms into a bubble. That's a natural energetic state of everything. So, are there universes that are like, or planets that are flat in those higher realities?
I did not. No, I did not.
Are they all bubbles?
I was focusing on figure it out in our universe, but they are bubbles. They are bubbles,
air bubbles,
and they can overlap. When they overlap, then you have parallel universes, right? When you are that overlapping part of the bubble, then then you are in parallel universe. So
right. Yeah, I just wanted to get that because some people, when they get into the spiritual metaphysics, and they hear everything's a bubble, that's usually how the nature forms universes and planets and everything else is in a bubble. That kind of throws some people off because they don't want to or can't understand or subscribe to the bubble. But everything in creation follows the same rules in terms how it creates.
It's maybe bubbles or maybe vibrations. I kind of it's still what it says. One of the originally that was Robert Monroe idea when he said there is no beginning, there is no end, there is only motion. Everything is in motion, and motion is either bubbles all over or vibrations, right?
Right.
And so
and vortex, because I see the image of the book Toward the Ultimate Source behind you, and you have this beautiful book cover of a vortex, and it reminds me again that even vortexes, that which is the center of all energy, vortexes come up and back around in a bubble. So the vortexes don't come up and stop and jagged or anything else. So
I call the place, it's a stargate. I call place of entry into source stargates, and there are zillions of these stargates. Everybody has stargates. We just have to discover it and find a way how we can get there. So that's a opening. That's an opening into source, which you can peek. You are allowed to peek there a little bit, but as I said, you can. My Archangels friends, they were telling me, I tried to go there, but I couldn't. I was not ready. Even they are not ready still back home, because Elohim. You mentioned word Elohim. Who Elohims are? These highest angels close to God, where they are in, as I said, in completely non-form environment, just kind of humming and
they're not even ready to go and reintegrate with source.
No.
Why not?
Surprisingly not, because they want to be teachers. They
want more experiences.
They feel for us. They are compassionate. They want to help people. They want to help not just people, but they teach also spiritual beings, because you mention sacred geometry. My word for that, which is probably going to be similar. I saw some of those circles in one of your other presentations when you were interviewed by. It's, for me, it's a divine structure of consciousness, which is like here three hierarchical structure, where we are like that. We are structured. We don't have. Do you know silver cord, right? Silver cord between your feet. It's not just one. It's just not one. Silver cord goes to your higher vibrational vehicle, and more and more and more, and you are kind of like a tree. And it was very interesting when I had meditation. It was it was, I remember, it was on a ship on the sea in France. I had meditation where my best teacher was explaining me, and your consciousness, that's your, the structure is your, and you move it like a spider on a web. You just going on, and we call them, I call them the higher self, and then higher self, and so on, up all the way up to ultimate self, which is right under the skin of God, and next to the ultimate membrane. So
Jozef, the thing that I keep getting from what you're saying is that there's really no end to the eternal experience of being conscious, or individually, and also at any point when you integrate with the whole, and with source. There's really no end. I mean, you can go from here to here to here, so there's really no end. So the whole point is really to stop focusing on the end and just experience what is present right now, because there's really no end. Even the archangels don't have an end, because they get to the point and they're like, no, I cannot.
No. Those whom I met, for me, I have. There is also where this angels or Elohim, when they reside, is places of unconditional love. They are like our place where we wanna go with my wife when we die. Is like, but it's not matter or energy. It's unconditional love. It's a cylinder where we can reside, where we can live as an angels.
Right.
And I still, I'm several times in a book, I contemplate whether I go there or whether I really go to the source, because it doesn't, for me, it doesn't mean when Archangels doesn't go there. Well, maybe I can, maybe I want to go there.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I don't really get very many conversations where I get to talk about the archangel realm. So we're gonna kind of dive even further into the ultimate source. So I understand the concept of, and this is what I asked in my mind as well, like for the archangels and the archangel realms, beyond the life cycle in any kind of incarnation, which is plentiful. We can incarnate as humans on Earth, and other planes, and other universes, anywhere. The catalog of excursions is immense. Even if we don't want to be physical for the experiences, we can choose to have experiences in a spirit plane and be life planners and be, it's endless, the experience. And then you go beyond the experience of samsara, which is the life and death and coming back, life and death, whatever. And you go further into the archangel realms of higher consciousness. But even in the archangel realms, it is the love. It's the love of all of the beings in the other realms, and helping them have the best experience that keeps them from re-immersing with consciousness, re-integrating, that keeps them archangels. Do you know what I'm saying? Wouldn't the whole point of getting to the point of archangel to just eventually let it all go and just go into bliss with source? So even archangels have a hard time letting it go.
Yes, that's why I have open possibility to let it go completely.
Yeah, let it go. That's
go to the bliss. They were telling me about stillness. That stillness is very inviting. Stillness, as you called it, spiritual emptiness, right?
Or nirvana,
bliss, or constant bliss, right?
Right.
That's very inviting. like like I always say, when the spiritual beings kind of sniffing around the 33, 34 level, and some of them who incarnated before, and they for whatever reason they came back to the close to the earth vibrationally, and I always say that they remember booze, fried chicken, and sex, right? That
Ah,
they remember. They remember. It's great. It's good, right? Right.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go there, but they forgot. They forgot about
The other stuff.
knee hurting, head hurting, right? About
Yeah, physical pain, the physical pain.
hunting for the food, paying mortgage, and all of that. So they forgot
Mm,
about that. So
yeah,
it's just, that's why this needs to be really individual choice, because
hmm
nobody can tell you what you should do, how you should treat your soul, right? Your body. Nobody should tell you that. It's everybody's choice, and that's why I call my book inspirational on the first place. I'm not telling anybody how it is. This is not
right.
about how it is. This is what happened to me. And when they would say, "Oh, it was just in your brain," or they will even talk about hallucinations. Well, you tell me when you will try to have experiences whether it's like that. It's
Yeah,
absolute.
yeah,
It's a true for me. Not even, as I said, believe. It's knowing. I know that because it happened to me. And the best way, James Rayfield and Celestine Prophecy, he said it very, very simply in one sentence: experience is evidence.
yeah. That's true. You know, you make a really good point in that even in the spiritual realms, when you go even as high as archangels and above, even in the spiritual realms, there is risk of losing all of that grandeur and all
Yeah.
those
Oh,
abilities
yeah.
and all of those
Well, yeah.
wonderfulness that,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
there's
yeah. Oh, yeah.
there's and that individuality and your
Yeah.
experiences and your
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
there's risk involved even to
Yeah.
stay behind and not integrate with source as an
Mhm.
archangel, and there's also risk for archangels to get close to the samsara experience, the life cycle of physicality, and get closer to that spirit realm. There's risk of, coming back here and also experiencing the various aspects of being physical, like you said, the suffering,
Mhm.
the survival, and
Yeah.
there's also the
Yeah.
good stuff as
Yeah.
well. So the same uh concept rings true in spiritual circles, even in these higher dimensions. Where there is risk, there must be choice.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whatever you
Choice. Yeah.
do,
Yeah. Yeah.
wherever
Yeah.
there's risk, there
Absolutely.
must be choice, and no one should um have a say otherwise, because even in
Exactly.
spiritual circles, even for archangel, there's risk of losing their archangelness. Okay,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's a big fall, quote quote fall, that many don't want to do.
Well, we came here exactly the same way. We came from the source, and we were on higher and then lower, lower, lower vibrational levels. We got here, and when we wanna go back, we have to go through the whole process backwards,
It's
vibrationally
almost,
up,
yeah,
vibrationally up.
Joseph. It's almost like we're all fallen angels.
Oh, yeah, we are. We are.
All of
We
us,
are.
we all
Oh,
fallen
yeah. Oh,
angels. We
yeah.
fell
Oh,
from
yeah. Oh, yeah. We
source
are. We are.
consciousness,
We
and then
are.
we
We
have
are.
yet to go back
We
into
are.
source
That's very good.
consciousness because
Very good.
we're attached to each other. It's the love that we have for ourselves and for
Yeah.
each other to help in the suffering that we keep coming back instead of
Mm-hmm.
letting it all go. That means letting go
Yeah.
of your
Oh, yeah.
identity, letting go of the physical experience, letting
Yeah.
go of the whole experience, just to go back home to source. And is the embrace of source so juicy that you're going to let it
We are.
all go?
We are very, we are very, very high vibrationally with our discussion.
Yeah.
Most of the people, they want to know just they when they kind of trying spirituality. What they want, like many people want just out of body experience, right? When I'm out of my body and I see my body, I believe that there is other sides. Otherwise, I don't believe. I have to see it. But one thing is, I was the man before I started this. I was the man who believed only what I saw, what I hear, what I heard, what I smelled, what I touched, and whatever is fifth one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe only in human senses, but there is so many senses.
Yeah.
And,
So in your
and
out of body experience, let me ask you this. So you use out of body experiences, you use a lot of techniques you learned at the Monroe
uh,
Institute for gaining this knowledge.
yeah, well, that would need a little more talking about it, because I went originally to the Monroe Institute to go out of my body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I even had in my head, get away from my body. They have program called Gateway, and I kind of kind of thought, get away. Oh, they gonna get me out of my body, right?
Okay.
But that's what they even have in a description. But if you get so high in vibrations and all that, my guides call out of body travel just local entertainment. Because what many people do, they will get out of body and I have to go back. I don't wanna die yet, and they just come to the wall and they don't realize that they are energy which can go through walls, so they hit the ceiling or whatever. So that's why I have it was not in the first book, but I put all of this in a chapter out of body in my second book, when I trying to explain people, don't be obsessed with this, because there is much more than that. There is much more than that. There is we talk a lot already about non-form, right? And so where is your body when you are just energy, which kind of move around like just like a cloud? They people but it's hard to explain to somebody who is just trying. They still gonna be trying. The people, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, everybody is in different levels of consciousness. Okay. And so for some people, they could take their whole life just to realize that there's more to life than the physical body. There, and that's the most they're going to get to. For others, they're going to get to another understanding. For others, there's another understanding. For many people, just to get to the point of having a conversation like you and I are having of why are the archangels in their realm having such a hard time letting go of
That's right.
everything
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
and just crossing
yeah,
over and
yeah,
becoming
yeah,
part of source? Go
yeah.
back to nirvana. Go back to that's what your point is to go
Yeah.
for the love of God and everyone in God's consciousness, that in creation you eventually go back home to the bliss of the spiritual emptiness of source, and you become it, and you immerse in that bliss. But even that is a struggle for archangels to do, because they can't let it go. There's like, it's one of their suffering. They
Well,
suffer from the joy of being an archangel, that they can't just let it go and just,
oh
you
no,
know.
well, maybe
That's a conversation most people will never have in their life.
maybe,
So
no,
how to understand that?
maybe they don't. They enjoy what my main teacher was always telling me that. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy helping people like you, because he got me from, what is a concept of loosh? You know loosh? Have you
Define it for people who don't know.
loosh? It's Robert Monroe term. Loosh is for emotion which we produce. We came here to return then our emotions, good and bad, towards the God, right? Everything what you can imagine, love, compassion, but also on the other side, hate, greed, and all of that. we produce. Nobody can grab how you can grab and hold love, right? Or hate. You cannot get it in your hands, but we know it does exist. And that goes back to source. And actually good lush, which is multiplied love of God in us when we do marvelous nice thing, that then is used in creation. Source again creates another bubble, right?
More
Another
bubbles.
universe, another universe. If he has enough
Another
of that,
bubble
we don't know how.
universe.
Yeah.
The bubble planets in the bubble universe with bubble
By
people
the,
in their bubble consciousness and the bubble tutorial fields. I get
by,
it.
by the way, when you were
Some
talking
people are
about
not going to like this conversation about bubble
all
everything.
about no, about all of that bubbling that just came to my mind, and I was once told even your tinnitus is bubbling.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
everything is bubbling, everything is in a move.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I understand it. The loosh goes both ways. The loosh, just for people to understand the loosh. Loosh in um is a definition for the energy. So the energy that is produced from these emotions fuel consciousness. It's like what fuels the car. It fuels consciousness. It's the energy that starts the
yeah,
motion that creates the bubble of everything. So there's also negative loosh too. Some
yeah, yeah,
beings, some because everything is allowed to exist in
yeah, yeah,
God's
yeah,
consciousness because
yeah,
of
yeah,
polarity. But some beings just don't really want the positive stuff. They
yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
the negative
yeah,
stuff for
yeah,
for
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
their
yeah,
own reasons.
yeah.
Uh, and I get that, but they feed off of the negative loosh. So you
Well,
being in
what I,
constant fear
yeah,
feeds
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
loosh.
Yeah, as I explained in English is the Lush is uh, gift. It's a gift from God, and also our return back to God for the gift of creation that we are here and we can exist. But there is so much traffic about Lush on internet, which is bad. But many people are talking like, oh, Lush is that without because Robert Monroe left it kind of in a foggy terms. You know, he had a lot of things are foggy in his book,
Mhm.
not clear what it is, and I'm trying to explain it in my books in normal human language, simple. I try to my book would be read by not just spiritually excited people, right? But anybody. By the way, there is at the end of the book is a glossary.
Mhm.
It's a glossary which explain all terminus which are in a book. So
Right.
everything is explaining there. So, but many people on the internet are talking about Lush like, oh, that's what we have to produce for alien beings who are created us. They keep us like in a farm, right?
Let, let
A
me
lot
ask
of
you
a lot
about
of
that.
a lot of
Let me
them is
ask you
in,
about that.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So I want to ask about this because you bring this up. Okay. Because there is a belief system that some people have that. Okay. And I want your opinion on this. That these aliens are going to come and get 144,000 special humans and take them to
yeah.
their
Well,
to their spaceship, and then they're going to be happily ever after. Um, hopefully you're one of the 144,000 special people that's going to be taken in because these aliens are the ones that created us. Now, I understand that there is some alien folklore, especially in Buddhism as well, of ancestry, but they did not create us. It is consciousness that creates form. And then there's also a creation of form through, having
yeah,
children and
yeah,
birth. And so
yeah,
there's that level. But
yeah.
what is your thought on that concept of aliens being the
I
creator
I
of everything?
can be. I thought a little bit that way too, but then I realized that aliens, when people talk about aliens, when you have all UFO agenda, and now they have even a new name for it, they mostly talk about spirit, about physical beings from another planets, and maybe some lower astral entities and on low level of beyond physical. That's what I think. And in my understanding, I early on in a book uh, I had perception of guardians who terraformed the earth, who created a livable condition on our planet, and then first plants, and then Robert Monroe called them mobile units. Mobile units, all bacteria, animals, and everything, and then sentient beings, us.
So just talking levels of experiences, levels of creation. Okay. So just like when parents come together and they create a family and they create that family experience for their life. There's civilizations that come together to create civilizations within certain planets and universes, and then there's also levels of spiritual entities that create that help the souls to create their experience for the lower levels, and then we go all the way up to the archangel level. And okay, so just there's levels of it. Okay, so I get it.
Well, and the other universes, our universe has 13 dimensions, and then those bubbles, they have different number of dimensions. They according to intention of the source, what the source want to accomplish, experiment with, they can have 25 dimensions. They are also universes with no dimensions, which means no perception of the space, and they are beings who live there and they are happy. I describe one of visits in one of the chapters in the second book to such a universe, right? Where where the only ruler of that planet is able to create space for himself.
Yeah. The thing about out of body experiences that I've found is out of body experience is very much tied to remote viewing, because you are remote viewing different experiences. But I've done out of body experience before, where I'm basically flying and going to all these different locales in the world, and basically just traveling. And then all evening into the night came by, and then I finally woke up, and it's like, oh, I'm forgetting about my body. I have to feed my body. I have to eventually come back into my body because I need that body to still function. So what I found for myself when it comes to out of body experiences is that there's a balance, because you still have to take care of your body so it can function, so you can live your life. So there's a balance to that. But when you're doing that, and when you're doing remote viewing, and you're getting really into all these different experiences and all these conversations with different beings, whether it's archangels or aliens or whatever the thing is, how can people balance their metaphysical hobbies and pursuits with their life here?
It somehow it works by itself. That's what I would chase. If you have spiritual experiences, you suddenly become more happier, compassionate, open-minded. It all comes with that. There is no magic secret. There is a hard work, like with everything else. I was doing my meditations, getting up early in the morning often, and still working at the Voice of America. I got at 3:00 in the morning. I had a dream. I worked a lot with the dreams, and I usually followed my dreams with the meditation, because I know it was message, because they giving us these messages in our dreams, our spiritual friends, right? So I always went. But regarding remote viewing, I also have chapter about remote viewing because I took course of remote viewing and I did quite well, but I didn't. That was not my focus. And remote viewer is a specific spiritual activity driven by protocol. There is protocol, and people sometimes think that remote viewing is just like you kind of imagine what is somewhere out there. It's in genuine remote viewing, everybody can name things however they want, whatever they want, right? But remote viewing in true remote viewing means that you connect to the target. You have target. They give you target, or you create target for yourself, and you composing a picture like similar way. Your consciousness bite into the target many times, and then you create it. You are a receiver. You are a receiver, and you your perception will create what it is, not just okay, I see that. I hear it often on radio shows when they say, oh, I will remote view now. No, you are not remote viewing. You don't know what remote viewing is. If people want to know what remote viewing is, and if they are interested in it, there are many good remote viewers. The number one, Joe McMonagle is now doing it at Monroe Institute. There is a Paul Smith, very good teacher, and they are. It's not so easy as people think. It's also very hard, elaborate work, and mainly protocol. How you do it. Even the way of me going into altered state, I also do protocol. I call it Monroe protocol, and I describe in the first book what it is. It's a how you get from the physical. It's about 5 stages, right? But how you get from physical into altered state. For me, knowing that I am in altered state, I am not here. As Robert Monroe always was saying, I am there. It's here or there, right? Beyond physical. When I now because I am trained, I put headphones of Hemisync, which Hemisync is the binaural beat which Monroe Institute is using. I put headphones on my head, and I'm few seconds and I'm going, right? But because I know I train myself to do that, right? So, but when I know I am not there, and it's happened very often. When I know by particular signs, like there is no vibrations in my body. I don't feel humming. I don't feel my body kind of stiff, almost like paralyzed. I know I'm not there, so I quit, because I know I would just fool myself. And it's what is very good thing in remote viewing, what I apply into my spiritual travels, is concept called front loading. Front loading means that when you go into spiritual travel, first it's in remote viewing. Like when you want to describe the target, you have to put your wishes away. You don't want to wish what it is. You have to be completely free, independent, and then by the protocol, you figure out what it is. The same way when I go in a spiritual travel, I usually have 3 intentions. Sometimes I get only 1 working. Sometimes suddenly 5. I learn 5 things. Sometimes nothing, because as I said. So if I know that I am not there, I'm not continuing. So.
Right. Well, Jozef, let me ask you this. In terms of these different travels of dimensions within our consciousness, what would you say is the last physical dimension, like physical dimension, and then everything else becomes ethereal dimensions?
Oh, that is just us. Then they are form. They are form dimensions. When you don't have physical body anymore, but you keep your shape, you keep your form. When you die, you're gonna look immediate. Your form, your soul, your spirit, which left your body, is gonna look exactly the same like your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you, that's it. If you don't do anything more, you might find your friends who are, I would say, stuck the same way you are, because you don't understand that you just at the beginning of the wonderful trips which you could have.
The beginning of your
So
non-physical journeys.
yeah,
Okay.
non-physical journeys, and those are 4, 5, 6 are dimensions where you keep
4,
the
5,
form.
6. Mm.
Yeah,
Oh, even the
7.
sixth dimension? The sixth
Oh
dimension too,
yeah, oh
huh?
yeah, yeah.
What's
It's more loose. 7. Well, it's
what's the
different. What
difference between the fifth and the sixth dimension of consciousness? Since you're saying that sixth
uh,
dimension is also physical form.
well, that it's just those forms are a little less dense.
Oh, okay, a little more fluid.
Yeah. For example, there is very interesting chapter in the first book is about spiritual children. You know, they are people are fantasizing about children, and they creating those forms, and those children do exist in a spiritual world. They do. Their forms are there, and they can even communicate because they are constantly connected with our physical bodies, and so it's unlimited possibilities about everything over there. It's just
Right.
like my friend Bill Buellman used to say, universe is quite crowded.
Right. But also
Quite crowded. Right?
it's quite crowded. It's quite crowded where all the activity is, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
space in between because everybody wants to go where all the action is.
They are all around us. We just don't see them. They are all
Yeah.
around us. They are in your room, your friends. They are
Uh,
watching you and following your conversations and what you're saying and everything.
sometimes I kind of I want to have my ignorance of feeling like I have my own space. So even if I feel or hear something,
Send
I
them
say
away.
yeah,
Send them away.
privacy, please, privacy. but you know, because
Yeah.
it's not for me. Um, I like my privacy. I like my space.
Yeah.
I don't like
Oh,
crowdedness.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like
Oh,
people
of
just kind of
course.
getting
Yeah.
into my
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the same thing goes for spirituality. So just
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
have the
Yeah. Yeah.
ability as a sixth sense to be able to perceive more dimensions and more realities doesn't mean that you want to be able to be multidimensional all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All the
that
time, people just don't understand how powerful we are. When you encounter bad entities, so you just have to send them away. You just
I
have to
can.
tell them, get out of me, go away, and they will
Well,
disappear.
well, yeah, because you're the master of your own dominion, and they have no
Yeah.
control
Yeah.
over that.
Yeah.
But people think that they don't have the mastery of their dominion and consciousness and mastery of their own reality, and
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
think they are victim to these other beings. But if you put those lower consciousness beings, what we would call demons or entities or whatever you want to call them, into a physical body, I'm sure most people would basically, if they had to fight it out, they would basically get, they would try to overpower and say, "This is my limit. Don't do
Oh,
this. I
yeah.
don't like
Yeah.
this."
Yeah. Oh,
But for
yeah.
some
Oh, yeah.
reason, because they don't have a physical body, they let them torment them
Yeah.
because they
Can
are
happen.
because they're not very powerful or empowered in their consciousness. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Now you bring up a good thing about lower beings, because they all exist as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is allowed to exist. So um, for me, these other beings communicate in dreams, and oftentimes in my dreams I'm like, okay, I am open to whatever higher or above, for the best experience. But sometimes, very few, but sometimes I will get a dream where it's very lucid, very real, like I am physically
Mm-hmm.
present with
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
lower
Yeah.
consciousness being. Now, and they try to scare me. Now, even in my consciousness, I know the whole grand scheme of it. So oftentimes, I'm like, okay, I enjoy my dreams. I enjoy sleeping, and I enjoy having these wonderful experiences in my dreams. And you just intruded in my dreams. So I will give them a lecture on consciousness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's
it
the
would
way. That's the
bore,
way.
yeah, and it would oftentimes I would get two experiences from these lower level demons that visit the dream sometimes. They would either go, "Oh, you're just no fun. You're just no fun," and they would move on
Yeah, oh yeah,
because
they have a
this is not the one that just this is not fun. So they'll move on because this is
they have
because
a
they
good sense of humor. Both good
yeah
entities and bad entities.
yeah
They can attack badly. I describe several attacks in my books on several
well,
places.
right
And what
right
they are, they are not connected to divine structure of
hmm
consciousness anymore. They are kind of like loose garbage between spiritual beings who keep their connections all the way up to the through variety, through levels of the spiritual chords and dimensions, all the way up to the source. These
right
beings are all of these entities like uh, Lucifer or
whatever
even
yeah
devil, Satan, whatever they are. As I was told once, there is because religions they say, oh, Satan is fighting with God, right? Uh, there is no opposite of God. There is
yeah it's
no
all
opposite of source. There is no
yeah
opposite of God.
yeah
So why they are not dangerous for people who understand that. They
yeah
just go away. Stop me. I had vicious attacks, especially when I started to write the book. They didn't want me to
really
succeed, and I described them in the book.
yeah
And
yeah you know so for me just for people who are like I know some of the viewers are gonna be like okay so if you get a dream about a demon who's trying to torture you what do? This is what I typically do. I almost have the lecture is a quick lecture. I almost have it memorized. You've lost your way from source because of one thing or another. Totally understandable. Nobody's judging you. However, you are still within consciousness and you are still within the embrace of source because you exist. And at any time, you can wake up out of this delusion of self pitying yourself and trying to find friends to torture in your self pity, and just wake up to the realization that um, you are just as valuable as everybody else, and then you can play a different game than the I'm really bad and I'm really evil game. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
because
So
it's because it's very short because there's nothing there. It's just a more destruction, more pain and harmony, and there's only so far that you can go, but you can always go up. And aren't you bored of that at some point? Don't you want to go up?
well, you usually what I would do, I usually am attacking in a dreams, and then I go to meditation and I solve
Mm,
the issue in a meditation. So,
okay, so that's your
but they
strategy.
can, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Just tell them, and they will not appear anymore, but others might
yeah.
come again. So there is
Well,
a plenty of them.
see, yeah. See, now here's the other thing here's the other strategy that I do, and then we'll close out this conversation about having
Okay.
conversations with demons. What I do is when I really lazy or with the because oftentimes they're like, oh, I want to hear it. I say, um, stop what you're doing and tune into that spiritual that energy of the universe, that energy of the universe that is beaming through and keeping you
Mm,
conscious,
yeah,
keeping me conscious, keeping everybody conscious. That energy of the universe is source itself, and that energy has unlimited love for all of its creations, and it loves you so much it even allow you to be lost into
yeah,
your pittiness
yeah,
if you want
yeah,
to, but
yeah.
touch that touch and grasp that source. And do you see how much love it has for everybody? And then and then in my dream, they're like, oh, oh my God. It's almost like they realized they had a heart all of a sudden and it just started pumping. And then they're just like, and then they just run away. They're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with
Oh,
myself now. And so they run away. And then some of their friends might come through and then they'll have the same conversation. and then I won't get these dreams for years until
Good,
some until
good,
some and
wonderful,
until
wonderful.
some lower entity who hasn't who wants to check
Love
it out.
always,
Yeah,
love always works even in a life. When somebody do you some harm, you know, and the best way is, you know, I don't agree what you did, but I still love you, brother, or I love you,
yeah,
sister.
yeah.
Uh, it it's a love. They are also afraid. Many of them, they are afraid of love. I
They
have
yeah.
chapter where I found this uh, low life spiritual guy who was trying to fool me that after that I have to go. They have for me job, some kind of star council decided I have to go to Andromeda and I can have plentiful reincarnations there, things like that. And the way I did it, I found him, and he was at this planet where he was slave master. He was there. He was supervising people who were digging something in the ground. They had like roundish faces and kind of curly hair, and uh, when he has kind of like reptilian shape usually. And when he introduced himself to myself, he was like in a karate gi, because I was martial artist, and that way he related to me like he is a friend. And when I found him as a slave master, uh, suddenly suddenly I cursed him, and he started to go bigger, 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 bigger. And then I realized that what you're doing is wrong. You just filling him with hate. And then I said, I love you. And he shrank into the size of the rabbit and ran away.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he didn't want he did they don't want to deal with love sometimes. They sometimes they don't understand that what it is. They
Yeah.
don't, like many people, we have people like that on our planet. They
We
don't know it.
do.
They
We
don't know
do.
it. We do, we don't we?
Yeah. It's the same
Yeah.
life lessons over and over
Ah,
again,
yeah, yeah,
regardless
yeah.
of which realm, dimension,
Yeah,
universe,
yeah, yeah.
planet, or entity
Yeah,
you're in.
yeah.
It's the same life lessons. Well,
Uh,
let me ask you this. I have two more questions and we'll wrap
okay.
up. So, because I know you have a unlimited source of information. So,
Well, I
yeah.
love to, you know,
Yeah, but
you're a
okay.
sweetheart.
Okay, so just like rainbows spring out of rainstorms and butterflies transform from a cocoon, how can we address our darker sides and human dramas to grow spiritually in this life?
Well, as I said already before, we have to get other people to go spiritually inside of themselves, and then spread it further. Try other people. You know,
Hmm.
there's I believe in power of individual, and this is the only way, because we can love others when we love ourselves.
Yeah.
We can, the love is otherwise it's just empty uh, empty word. And for those who are advanced, they should be teachers. They should be teachers. They should be advisors. The Monroe Institute had a very excellent word, facilitator. So
Mm.
when somebody decides, hey, you know, tell me how I can do what you're doing, how I can learn about myself, who I am, what I'm doing, right? Lead them to that, give them advices, but not tell them a priori how it is. Don't tell them you have to do this, you have to do this. No, I suggest you to do this, that. When I was excited and was working with my colleagues at the VOA, I was always, when they ask some questions, like I was already mentioned, do you have a soul? Not. Only one person told me when I said, what would you say that you can actually talk to that soul, you can visit that part of your soul, which is, what would you tell me? And he said, oh, tell me why. You know, very few people go like, tell me, show me, or give me advice. I wanna be better. I wanna be better to my wife, my husband. I wanna be better to my kids. Is this gonna help me? Nothing is gonna help you more than this when you realize who you are and your powers. And because you are powerful, then and what your power can also do on the other side, how you can hurt people, then you're gonna stop that. That's the way. That's the only way of true individual revival. And your I think you gave the name of this conversation like future, blissful future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was one of, because I am very thankful to the whole Monroe Institute, and I was wanted to know what Monroe Institute, how it's gonna end, and I visited it in my travel in the future, to see future toward the end of this century. And I saw this huge university of consciousness. It was called Monroe Planetary University of Consciousness. With buildings where the today Monroe Institute is. Monroe Institute is just this little small institution, right? But and there was even kind of like little plaque about me, and also about the history. They were like executive directors and presidents of the Monroe Institute, and then chancellors of the university. And there was like 20s were very tumultuous, very. That's what exactly is going on now. But in the 30s, people realize this, what we are talking about. Individual, spiritual revival, which will reflect in the whole society, which will make every individual better. And as such, that's naturally the society will become better everywhere. So that's because we lost what we really are. I had several lives in Atlantis, and people in Atlantis, like when we people made love in Atlantis after orgasm, they left their bodies and they were flying in a, over there where they live and enjoying scenery and everything. We were able to connect to the other side. But as we develop more and more and more, everything's just about materialism, about who has more money, and all of that. That's and that will stop only by because when somebody has a lot of money, his neighbor or his subordinate or his friend, he wants to have even more.
Yeah.
Those
are lower conscious. I mean, yes, money's not bad because we need money to, trade and exchange goods to be able to take care of ourselves. So, within, understanding, but we also need to have that balance of the spiritual connection to source itself, to God itself.
That's exactly right.
And because everything is spiritual, this whole thing is a spiritual experience. Because this whole thing is a creation of consciousness, which is spiritual. Jozef, the thing is that a lot of people they like to have a couple of things that they could do, a couple of little things that they could do right now in their lives to kind of, grow in their consciousness. So what's the last message that you have for people to take home with them? Is the last message.
Well, last message might sound a little selfish, but read my book, read both of my books, and you will get a lot of inspiration how to do what we were talking about, how to create your own way. Again, in the words of Robert Monroe, go figure out for yourself. Look what one can learn, what one can know, where you can go, you can travel, whatever you want to do. So go on my website, howtokisstheuniverse.org, howtokisstheuniverse.org. Right now I have promotion. I'm giving away 40 How to Kiss the Universe signed books and 20 Toward the Ultimate Source signed books. It's running through Goodreads, so whoever goes on my website can find it. And also, I still have free codes for download of audiobook. Both books are in audiobook in excellent. I'm not reading them, of course. It's in excellent narration by Audible narrator John Steele. He's really very good. It's joy to listen to it, and both are in audiobook. The second one we just finished like 3 days ago. So How to Kiss the Universe is available now, and Toward the Ultimate Source in few days. I don't know when Audible is gonna make them available. So that's my message.
Oh, well, that's good. There's a lot of really good content in there. Well, Jozef, thank you for providing us a lot of clarity for understanding even more about our multifaceted nature of our souls and the magical worlds in store for humanity as we continue to explore our direct connection to God consciousness inside all of us. So, for more information, again, about Jozef Simkovic's offerings, please visit his website, which is howtokisstheuniverse.org. And thank you kindly to our listeners for listening to another enlightening conversation. Until next time, blessings.
Thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Merkaba Chakras, where we talk Buddhism in the 5th dimension. For more information about today's guest, please go to the show description. For more information about Vaughn's metaphysical work, please go to merkabachakras.com. The views expressed today are for entertainment purposes and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host or replace any medical or legal advice. Don't forget to subscribe for more interviews about the 5th dimension. Until we meet again, blessings.